Oh, gee whiz, I can't wait to talk about Time Star Remastered that came out on the weekend and draft summon. Oh, fuck! Where did you come from? Well, let's just ignore that for a moment and try and focus on what's just come out. Oh my god, Kasmina, what the fuck? You scared the shit out of me. Time Spiral Remastered came out late last week on MTGO, and the booster boxes have only just started arriving in people's hands. I haven't even got my first box to open on the channel, and we now have Strixhaven spoilers coming out. Day 9 had one, we had another one from, I actually don't know the source, and then we've got more previews coming on Thursday. So let's just jump straight into it, shall we? This is Kasmina Enigma Sage. I literally cannot see Kasmina without seeing Nissa Cosplay's wonderful fucking rendition of her. Her cosplay with the lights and shit, bang on. This Kasmina is summoning owls and shit. A 3-mana blue queen planeswalker. Oh, fuck. Does that give anyone else heart palpitations considering the last year or two of Magic? Fuck it hell. Kasmina is a mythic. She starts on 2 loyalty. She is not the intro pack rare as far as we can tell. Each other planeswalker you control has the loyalty abilities of Kasmina Enigma Sage. +2 to scry 1. -X to create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it. So, yeah, okay, interesting. And then her ultimate is search your library for an instant or sorcery card that shares a colour with this planeswalker, exile that card, then shuffle it. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. This is an interesting design in the sense that she gives her abilities to other walkers. We've seen a similar thing with Nico Bolas in the past that had the abilities of other walkers that were in play. I like this mirrored alternative, almost like she's teaching other people to cast her spells, and this is the set about teaching people spells because it's a school. Do you get it? I really like this. I think it's not extremely powerful or broken, and honestly, after the last couple of years of Magic that we've had, I'll take that. I think the fact that she starts on 2, can only take up to 4, makes her incredibly vulnerable. She can come down on turn 2 off of a mana dork, so I guess she can come down, not swinging, but upticking before your opponent has a board presence, so that's pretty good. She can of course come down and down tick for 1, making a 1/1 body to protect herself, but doesn't seem that hot. I guess the real power in her is coming down as a support walker in a Super Friends deck, where she can give, I don't know, the War of the Spark, walkers that didn't have upticks like Narset and Ashiok, it can give them upticks. Her ultimate, while some are saying takes a little bit to get to, and that is true, if you're casting it in Commander, it's gonna probably win you the game, right, by casting some sort of Expropriate or Tooth and Nail, although I checked with judges on my Discord, you'd have to pay 2 mana to entwine the Tooth and Nail, but I mean, yeah, I'm sure you can find 2 mana to win the game off of a Tooth and Nail. Yeah, I think her power level is actually surprisingly low for a mythic, or at least she feels that way at first. I might eat my words when she combo kills people in Modern with a planeswalker that somehow combos with her, but this feels more like a rare than a mythic. And I could be wrong on that. I mean, her effects are unique and powerful and complex in the sense of giving her abilities to other planeswalkers. So maybe that warrants her being mythic just from that alone. Yeah, Kasmina is cool, doesn't seem all that powerful, and I'm fucking glad to hear it. Then we have Professor Onyx. Not Onyx like the stone, not Onyx like the Pokemon. Onyx like Liliana of the Yale. 6 mana mythic planeswalker Liliana comes into play with 5 loyalty, and her Magecraft ability, which hints at a new mechanic in the set, says whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Now, we're not exactly sure on what the reminder text for Magecraft is. Well, fuck, I was looking for the actual, like, if there was an announcement article that explained Magecraft a little bit, and I realised that Danny Trejo was the one that previewed this. Oh, what a time to be alive. I'm going to assume that Magecraft is going to work similarly to Metalcraft in the Scars block. Essentially, Metalcraft was online if you controlled 3 artifacts. Now, I'm going to assume that Magecraft won't be control 3 sorceries on the stack. I'm assuming it's going to be one of 2 things. A, sorceries and instants in the bin. This will be very similar to Spellcraft that we've seen in the past. As seen on Exquisite Firecraft and that one shooter spell that I can never remember the fucking name, or the 5 mana one that gives you mana, Spell Mastery asked for you to have 2 or more instants or sorcery cards in the graveyard. So I'm going to assume that it's not going to be that, but 3 things, okay? Because that would be just too similar. So my prediction for Magecraft is that you have to control 3 wizards. Literally that simple. It'll play into the party mechanic of Zendikar Rising that most people have just completely forgotten, and it'll also make Wizard Tribal fucking lit. When Magecraft is online, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. In many ways, it's part of a Tendrils of Agony. Her uptick takes her to 6, you lose 1 life, you look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 into your hand and the other 2 into your graveyard. But it's a very strong selection ability to look at 3 cards and then put them in your bin, a place that things can be very, very easily abused. Her -3 is each opponent sacrifice a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls, an interesting variant on the typical Liliana sack effects. And a -8 is each opponent may discard a card if they don't lose 3 life. Repeat this process 6 more times. It's Torment of Hailfire. The most interesting thing about Professor Onyx is that everyone is very fucking thirsty for her. I mean, Liliana's always been the hottest of the Planeswalkers, except for Chandra. Do you get it? Because she's made out of fire. But it looks like if she ties her hair back, becomes a headmistress, and sits on a... Hang on a minute. I'm assuming she's a headmistress. I've just realised that she's not necessarily the headmistress. Maybe that's just some sort of Freudian thing with me. Anyway, I assume she was the headmistress, but she's not. Okay, cool. So she's Professor Onyx. We don't know what house she belongs to. She's mono black. I don't really want her to be part of the Gardener Guild. Maybe she's part of the Writers Guild, the black-white one that dresses like a bunch of trendy Slytherin. Maybe that's more her thing. From a story perspective, if you don't know, she's meant to be in hiding after the events of War of the Spark, so she adopted a different name and now shows up on a different plane called Professor Onyx. Professor has pointed out how unrealistic it is to expect someone to get tenure that quickly as a professor. That said, perhaps she was just doing this as a part-time job before, you know, like moonlighting as a professor, and now she's settled into it full-time. Now that I've realised she's not the headmistress, which I assumed or thought she was when I saw her yesterday night, because I always have to do my previews the next day because of how time zones work. That's cool, because there's now a headmaster character still to be shown, and that means it could still be Jin-Gitaxias. That's one of my other predictions for this, right? I've already predicted what Magecraft will be. My prediction is that Jin-Gitaxias will show up with, I don't know, glasses and a tall hat and a little beard, and everyone will be like, does he look Phyrexian to you? And he'll be like, oh, don't worry, children, I'm not Phyrexian. And that'll be Jin-Gitaxias as the headmaster of Strixhaven. Please, wizards, one time. I literally want each of the 5 Praetors, I don't know if Urbask can, because he might be dead, but I want each of the 5 Praetors just to show up in sets, one-offs. Vorinclex on Kaldheim, Jin-Gitaxias on, or maybe Elishnorn. Headmistress Elishnorn could be a thing. But I mean, I think the collective internet or nerddom would explode with thirst if a sexy Headmistress Elishnorn was a thing. Fuck. But Elishnorn and Jin-Gitaxias on this plane, and then we can have the others, Urbrask and Sheoldred and... what's the one I'm missing? Well, that is 5. Counting is difficult. Have them show up in the next sets. If you didn't know, we've also got names for our next sets. We've got obviously Magic Horizons 2 coming in June, which is actually really quite soon. Fucking hell. Dungeons & Dragons Adventure in the Forgotten Realms, which is quite exciting. I'm happy to see a crossover with D&D, even if others aren't. And now the Innistrad sets are called Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow, which is much better than calling them werewolves and vampires, because that would have been a bit on the nose, but I would have found it funny, if a little bit cringy. To talk about Professor Onyx's power level a little bit, I can't not think of the Pokemon, jeez. 6 mana mythic that pings your opponent when you cast spells, draws you cards, sacks creatures. I don't think it protects itself that well, because it's only got a 1/-3 down tick, putting it on 2 at 6 mana. So again, I think the power level on this has been pulled back a little bit. I'm willing to eat my words, but I don't think this is as strong as even War of the Spark, Liliana, or even maybe the Amonkhet one either. Ultimately, I'm excited for Strixhaven. I think it's really funny that they've been saying it's not a Harry Potter set and they set a lot of creators fucking scarves for each of the houses. They didn't send me any. If they sent me some, I'd obviously be being a lot more positive because I'm a shill. I'm hyped for Strixhaven, I'm hyped for Modern Horizons, I'm hyped for D&D. I don't know if I'm really that hyped to return to Innistrad again so soon, but maybe it'll be cool. I don't know. I love Innistrad. I absolutely love Innistrad, and I really, really enjoyed Shadows and Eldritch, but I don't know if we need to go back so soon. So let me know what you think in the comment section below of Professor Onyx and the new Kasmina. Are you excited for spoilers to start literally 2 days after you just got the last product into your hands? I can guarantee there'll be a lot of burnt out people in the comment section saying how fucking frustrating this is. The hype train never stops. This is just perpetual hype season. So I will be covering it because it is part of my job, essentially, as a Magic content creator and critic, I guess. I'm hoping I should be getting a preview for the set. There'll be more content this week that isn't just Strixhaven stuff, so there will be some historic and hopefully some legacy gameplay as well as an episode of EDH and Chill later this week. But there will be a load of spoiler content Thursday onwards as well as I talk about the things they previewed. Yeah, that's me today, folks. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like with the like button down below and let me know how you feel about perpetual hype season. In the meantime, think of me when you masturbate. Ta-ta for now.